Hello everyone, myself Saroja Navade, Assistant Professor in Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Pharmaceutical Science and Research, Pimpri, Pune. Today we discuss the Biochemistry and Clinical Pathology chapter number 3, that is Introduction to the Carbohydrates. Now, the learning objectives for the carbohydrates, the student should able to explain the brief chemistry and role of the carbohydrates with definition of the carbohydrates, details classification of the carbohydrates, also the different structure of the sugars, that is the monosaccharide sugar, disaccharide sugar, polysaccharide sugar, etc., chemical reactions and the qualitative test for the carbohydrates, and the different types of the diseases related to the carbohydrate metabolisms. Now, see the introduction parts regarding to the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the polyhydroxyaldehydes or the ketones or compounds derived from their hydrolysis. The general formula of the carbohydrate is CnH2O bracket close N, where N is the number of the carbon atoms. The carbohydrate supplies the major parts of the energy needed by the living cells, because the whole living body requires the energy, and that energy are supplied by these carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the structural constituents of the biological system, such as cellulose is present in the plant cell wall and 2-deoxyribose is present in the DNA, that is in the animal cell wall. Okay. Now, next is the classification of the carbohydrates. Now, the classification of the carbohydrate, in that there are the different types of the carbohydrates are present. We see one by one. In that, first is the monosaccharides. What is the monosaccharides? Carbohydrates that cannot be hydrolyzed to simpler compounds are called as the monosaccharides. Monosaccharides are further classified on the basis of the functional groups and the number of the carbon atoms present in their structures. You just see this simple structure of the monosaccharide sugars, in that the long chain structure as well as the ring structure is there. This is the long chain structure and this is the ring structure. Okay, this is the monosaccharide sugars, and these monosaccharides are further classified depending upon or on the basis of the functional groups present in the structure as well as the number of the carbon atom present in the structures. We see the in next slides. Depending on the functional group present in the structures, the monosaccharides are classified into the aldoses and the ketoses. Now, we see this first aldoses, when monosaccharides contains the aldehydic functional groups in the structure. So, this considered as the aldoses. That means when monosaccharide contains the aldehydic functional groups, they are termed as the aldoses, and example is what? The glucose is the best example for the aldoses. Second is the ketoses, when functional group present in the monosaccharide is the keto groups. Now they call as the ketoses, and example is the fructose. You just see this diagram properly. This is the aldose sugar, that is the glycerol aldehydes, and this is the keto sugar. In aldose sugars, the aldehydic functional group is present. That's why it is called as the aldose monosaccharides. And here the ketose sugar, that is the example is the dihydroxyacetones. The ketose group is the functional groups present in the structure. So this is called as the ketoses. Okay. Now the second class in the monosaccharides is the classification on the basis of the number of the carbon atoms. How many carbon atoms present in these structures, depending upon that the monosaccharides are classified. First is the triose, contains the 3 carbon atoms in structure. So that is called as the triose, and best example is called as the glycerol aldehydes. Second one is the tetroses, contains the 4 carbon atoms. Example is the erythrose and the threose. Third one is the pentoses, contains the 5 carbon atoms. For example is the ribose, arabinose as well as the xylose. Fourth is the hexoses, contains the 6 carbon atoms. Example is the glucose, mannose, galactose as well as the fructose. It contains the 6 carbon atom rings. Now the last one is the heptoses. It contains the 7 carbon atoms, and example is the glucotaptates. See this 3 carbon atom, that is the triose. Example is the glyceraldehydes, that is the carbon number 1, 2, 3. 3 carbon atom is there. So this is the triose, and example is what? Glyceraldehydes. You just see the ribose example. In this ribose, that is the 5 carbon atom is present. So this is come under into the pentose, that is the 5 carbon atom. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is a 5 carbon atom. Example is this ribose. Next one is the glucose. This is the come under into the hexose sugars, that is the carbon atom contains the 6 carbon atoms. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the 6 carbon atom, that is called as the hexose. Okay, now move to the next types for the carbohydrates class, that is the disaccharides. You just see these words properly. Di means two monosaccharides units are combined together, then the formation of the disaccharides. These carbohydrates that gives the 2 monometric unit on hydrolysis are called as the disaccharides, and the example is the maltose, sucrose as well as the lactose. You just see this diagram properly. This is the 1 monomeric unit, or the also called as the monosaccharides, and this is the second monosaccharide unit. These 2 monosaccharides units are joined together with the help of the glycosidic linkage, and in this joint there is the removal of the water molecules. So then the formation of the disaccharides. Is that clear? Now this is the disaccharide unit. Di means two different or 2 same. In this 2 same monosaccharides units are joined together, then with the help of this glycosidic linkage and removal of the water molecule, then the formation of these disaccharide sugars. Okay, now the next one is the oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides means what? The carbohydrate that gives the 3 to 10 monosaccharides on hydrolysis are called as the oligosaccharides, and the example is the raffinose as well as the maltodextrose. In this oligosaccharides, you just see this oligosaccharide contain the 3 to 10 monosaccharide unit. In disaccharide, we just combine the 2 different monosaccharide unit and the formation of the disaccharide. Disaccharide means words indicates the 2 monomeric unit, but in this oligosaccharides it contains the 3 to 10 monosaccharide unit, then the formation of the oligosaccharide. And the best example is the raffinose and oligosaccharides found in peas as well as the beans. Okay, now the next is the polysaccharides. Polysaccharides, the word indicates poly means many monomeric unit or many monosaccharides are joined together, so that is given as the polysaccharides. You just see this carbohydrates that gives the many monosaccharides on hydrolysis are called as the polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are made up of one or different types of the sugars, because in that the disaccharide we just see this same monometric units are joined together. In case one monomeric unit is one type and second monomeric unit in another types, means 2 different types of the monomeric unit are joined together with the help of this glycosidic linkage, then the formation of the polysaccharides. You just see the polysaccharides means what? Polysaccharides are made up of the one or the different types of the sugars. Okay, all monomeric units are linked to each other via the glycosidic linkage. You know about the glycosidic linkage. 2 monomeric units are joined together with the help of this glycosidic linkage, and the removal of the water molecule takes place. Now these polysaccharides are complex carbohydrates of the high molecular weight, either quite insoluble in water or when soluble, forming the colloidal solutions. Now these polysaccharides on hydrolysis give the simpler sugars hydrolyzed by the acids or enzymes. Okay. Now these polysaccharides are again classified into the two subclasses based on the compositions, that is the product of the hydrolysis. So these polysaccharides are classified into the two main types. First one is the homopolysaccharides. The word indicates what's the homo. Homo means same polysaccharides units or same monomeric units are joined together. That is called as the homopolysaccharides. Polysaccharides which on hydrolysis gives only one type of the monosaccharides. No any another type is present here. Okay, you just concentrate on the only one same types, no any different type, only one single monomeric units are present. So that is given to the homopolysaccharides. Example is the starch, glycogen, cellulose, chitin as well as the dextrin. Okay. Second is the heteropolysaccharide. What is meant by heteropolysaccharides? The polysaccharides which on hydrolysis gives the two or many types of the monomers are called as heteropolysaccharides. Just word indicates the hetero. Hetero means different. Now the example is the hyaluronic acids, hemicellulose, murine, heparin, agar, alginic acid, etc. This is the structure. In this structure you just see the D-glucuronic acid and N-acetyl-D galactosamines are joined together with the help of the glycosidic linkage and the formation of the heteropolysaccharides. Okay, now we just see the revision on the classification of the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are classified into the three main groups, as like first one is the monosaccharide, second one is the oligosaccharide, and third one is the polysaccharides. These monosaccharides are classified depending upon the functional groups as well as the number of the carbon atom. Depending upon the functional groups, the monosaccharides are classified into the two types. First one is the aldoses, example is the glucose, and second one is the ketoses, example is the fructose. Second is the depending upon the number of the carbon atom present in the structures, this monosaccharide is classified as a triose, that is the 3 carbon atom, tetrose, that is the 4 carbon atom, pentose, that is the 5 carbon atoms, hexoses, that is the 6 carbon atom, and heptoses, that is the 7 carbon atom present in structure. Second one is the oligosaccharides. In this oligosaccharides, the disaccharides, trisaccharides and the tetrasaccharides are, these three class are present. So this disaccharides means what? The two monomeric unit are joined together with the help of the glycosidic linkage. Then example is the maltose, lactose as well as the sucrose. Next is the trisaccharides. In the trisaccharide, 3 to 10 monomeric units are joined together with the help of the glycosidic linkage. Then the formation of the trisaccharides. Okay, and tetrasaccharide. These three class are present in this oligosaccharides. And last class for this carbohydrate is the polysaccharides. Poly means different. So in this polysaccharides there are the two different types. First one is the homopolysaccharides and second one is the heteropolysaccharides. Homo means same polysaccharide units are joined together with the help of that the glycosidic linkage. And this homopolysaccharides example is the starch, dextrin, glycogen, cellulose and the insulin. And the second types for the polysaccharides is the heteropolysaccharide. The word indicates the hetero means the different. So this heteropolysaccharides is classified, the heteropolysaccharides gives the example as a hyaluronic acids, heparins, chondroitinic sulfates, dermatine sulfates and the keratin sulfates. In this heteropolysaccharides, the polysaccharides which gives the two different types of the monomeric units are joined together with the help of that the glycosidic linkage, and in that glycosidic linkage the removal of the water molecules takes place. Okay, So this is the overall classification of the carbohydrates.